All right, brothers and sisters, welcome back. I pray everybody is doing fine. Yesterday, we did a video and we were explaining how Candace Owens tweeted talking about her assassination has been paid for, right, by the Macrons, which is the head of state of France, Brigitte Macron, Emmanuel Macron. We understand that Candace Owens has said that Brigitte is a man, okay? Many different times this has been said by her, and they've had enough, I guess, because somebody has come out from the French government that is not named, that has not been named, and said that they have paid for her assassination already. And something new was tweeted yesterday. She got intel on where it came from. Payments for my assassin ran through the Club Descent. That is what I have been told. This means there is a paper trail, and I would encourage the patriots of France to do what you can to uncover it. Please remember that there is both a female assassin and an Israeli assassin that were picked for this operation. These are joint state operations. So she's saying Israel joined with France and is trying to take her out. Well, she's been going hard on Brigitte before the Charlie situation, and after the Charlie situation, she was going hard on Israel. Not only Israel, but also the Trump administration, so also U.S. You know, I love CEO, but like I said on the last episode, she might want to start thinking about her family, her kids, her husband. I can understand wanting to investigate. I can completely understand that, guys. But it may be a time to sit down until you have full facts, because understand this, Candace's podcast is #1 in the United States. That means everything that she may assume, right? Because Candace has said many different times, I'm guessing. We don't know, but we know, that's not facts. So it could be dangerous when you got different people who watch your episodes and they're not fully here, okay? Let's just keep it 1,000. We know in different individuals that may not be fully here, and they get in their mind that's completely true, even though it wasn't said in a factual way. And it could be dangerous. And I say that also because I seen Frank Turek come out and talk about how they're receiving death threats. Okay, Mikey McCoy, Rob McCoy, Frank Turek, all these different individuals who were supposed to be close with Charlie. We understand that many of them have not come out and said anything, but the fact is there should not be death threats going their way. That's unacceptable. And it's death threats going their way because of assumptions, things that have not been proven yet. You understand how that can be dangerous? Now, how can assumptions be made? Because somebody who has the biggest podcast in America is pointing them out. Now, I'm not saying different things are not off. Has been off for sure. But I do believe that there should also be, when things like that are being said, there should also be something said about this is not facts, though. This is just, what we're seeing at this time. Don't go do this to these people. Don't do that to these people. I think that should definitely be said. Because nobody wants anybody else hurt, guys. Do we? I mean, come on.
As we all know, Candace Owens is spinning a lot of suggestions that there's all sorts of conspiracies out there about who killed Charlie. It's fine to ask questions. It's fine to suggest that maybe this happened, maybe that happened, but it's not fine to insinuate that people are guilty of murder or they're in some sort of murder conspiracy unless you have really strong evidence. My friend Mikey McCoy, whom I talked to today, is getting death threats. I get what appear to be death threats. You never know what can happen to you. In fact, before Charlie, these gentlemen were not with me. Before Charlie, we didn't even have a police officer in the back of the room. Why do we need that now?
I will say this, right? it's not like I don't feel like CO is getting somewhere, because I do think that her investigation is leading her down a path, and it could be leading her to a place that's real evil, with real evil individuals, which is why her assassination has been paid for crying out loud. Clearly, they see that she's going somewhere. But I'm saying maybe everything doesn't need to be publicized, right? Until we step into actual real facts, real facts, real facts, real facts. Because different things like the whole Mikey McCoy situation, what he did was super off, by the way. Super off. However, there's no actual facts there on what happened and who he was actually on the phone with and why he actually did that, walked away that fast, why his father said he had blood all over him, even though he kind of explained that. And I'll show that video next.
Bible is very clear. You need 2 witnesses to convict somebody. You don't gossip. You don't slander people. Unfortunately, I think too much of that is going on. So far, I've heard that Candace and others, it's not just Candace, have suggested Netanyahu killed him, Israel killed him, Trump killed him, TPUSA killed him, Mikey McCoy, his dad Rob McCoy had something to do with it, the FBI, Egypt. I heard France today. I thought all France did was surrender. Now, let me ask you a question, ladies and gentlemen. Unless those possible culprits in Charlie's murder all work together on some grand conspiracy, that most of what is being said about this has to be false. Do you see the point? If you're going to suggest all these different people are involved, they can't all be involved. It strains credulity to say they're all somehow involved. Maybe one of them did it. But that means most of what's being said about this is false. And what if the guy who actually has been charged with the crime really did it? Then every single thing that is being said regarding conspiracies, if he acted alone, is certainly false. Now, the trial is probably not going to be for at least another year. We can't keep spinning conspiracy theories without evidence. People are going to get hurt. So I plead, if you're watching this kind of stuff, or you know people that are, you need to say, hey, it's okay to ask questions. It's not okay to insinuate people are guilty unless you have really strong evidence.
I can feel where he's coming from, right? Especially if he's knowing that he's innocent. Because you got to think about it that way. If you know you're innocent and different narratives are being thrown around about you and you know you're innocent, you're going to be like, yo, wait a minute. Please stop this. So that's where I can feel where he's coming from. However, I can also feel, the whole CO situation and where Candace is coming from. I feel like she's stepped into a place where she was very brokenhearted. Her friend was murdered. And she's been investigating. But now she may be a little consumed with it. Maybe. I could be wrong. However, like I said on the last episode, if she's being led, right? If this is something that she's being led to do, if the Lord is using her to expose different evil and darkness, then amen. I got nothing to say about it. Keep going, even if it means risking your own life. However, if this is something that's personal, it's just what you want to do because it's something personal to you, think about your family. think about your kids, think about your husband, because it's not just your life that's on the line. You got to think about these things. There was also another tweet that she did. It is not a coincidence that the French legionaries were in the United States training with our Marines for 3 weeks. When those 3 weeks ended in California, another military training exercise began alongside civilians at Camp Riley in Minnesota. French foreign legionaries were involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. So now she's saying the French foreign legionaries were involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. They were not the only ones, but they were involved. So CO is saying that the Trump administration is involved. She's saying that TPUSA is involved. She's saying that the French foreign legionaries are involved. If all this is to be true, which it could be, if all this is to be true, she got to be one of the best investigators I've ever laid eyes upon. I mean, secret agent. Secret agent CO. Like, something happens to me, call Candace type stuff. Like, seriously. Ron McCoy actually came out about his dad saying that he had blood all over him, because we understand that was a complete lie. I mean, Mikey McCoy came out saying how his dad said he had blood all over him, but he didn't. Let's hear what he had to say about that.
Great question from Rain, and it's kind of largely about the conspiracy theories, and and I think, Blake, you said it well. It's like,
I don't like how they throw out the conspiracy theory word. Like, I'm done with that brainwashing nonsense. Just say the narratives that are being thrown around that happen not to be true. Like, when you say conspiracy theory, that's what makes people want to look into it even more. Because so many conspiracy theories have been proven to be right, have been proven to be true. And it's like, when people say it's a conspiracy theory, it's like, what are you trying to, like, why are you saying that? That's how I feel personally. I don't know how you guys feel, but when somebody tries to say that's a conspiracy theory you're looking into, it makes me want to look into it even more. Especially if it's about those individuals. Because, like, are you trying to manipulate me into not to give it up? I do not like that word, guys. There's been too many conspiracy theories that have been proven to be right.
We have to give space for people to grieve. There is a trial coming up. We understand that sometimes when we don't speak on every topic, it creates a bit of a vacuum. And there is, just so you know, there's a reason for some of the silence on certain things and the choosing not to engage in certain things. But I loved Rain's heart, and you could tell that she is grieved just by Charlie not being with us and the anchor that Charlie was in her life, but also the fact that she wants to carry his mission forward, and she wants everybody to be unified and on the same page. So, Mikey, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew, you said it. If there's silence on something, oftentimes people say it's silent because it's true. No, that's not why. Like, there's so many accusations out there against so many people. Even one of them are like a sermon that my dad gave where he said that I had blood on me. And for the record, like, he gave that sermon. I called my dad moments after everything happened, and I was screaming.
I was listening to that call, and
Blake was next to me. I was screaming on the phone. I said, Charlie was shot in the neck, and he had blood all over him.
He said,
and
I think he said there was a lot of blood.
And I said, you need to call every pastor and pray for a miracle. And he thought, for some reason, that I said I had blood on me. So he gives a sermon 72 hours later where he addresses that conspiracy.
Yeah, and he says that
I had blood on me. Okay. I didn't see that sermon. And then about a month later, that was like trending all over social media. And I called my dad and I was like, did you actually say this? And he was like, yeah, I just found out it's not true. So, like, behind every single one of these are a human being. For an entire month, my dad had to live with nightmares every night that his son actually did have blood all over him.
Didn't you say he got emotional when he found out?
He got emotional when I was on the phone with him, being like, "That's not why did you say that?"
No, he was so glad to hear it wasn't true.
Yeah, like not everything is some grand scheme, and just because someone's not answering all of your questions when you want them to answer your questions does not mean it's.
And I want to close the loop on this.
Fine. I have one more thing.
I think, but there's a lot of people. A lot of people are deeply affected by this.
Yeah,
and for some people, the temptation of something very emotionally upsetting is they want to, like, frankly, sometimes there's a temptation to lash out. And I would remember that, I would encourage you to remember, all of us love Charlie. All of us care deeply about Charlie. It is fundamentally, I'll just say it, it is fundamentally outrageous and insane to say that any of us would have wanted Charlie dead or wanted anything bad to happen to him. And when we get emails where people just say, "You killed Charlie," or like, "You're lying about everything," I would strongly encourage those people to reflect on what is motivating them to do these things.
Yeah.
I want to also say there is a point where it's deeply frustrating that somebody like Mikey would have to even dignify some of, like, this story that you'd have to even dignify that with a response. I mean, it's so insane. But by the way, I love that Rain is wearing a.
Well, yes, you have to come out and say something about the story, especially if your father said something that wasn't true. See, stuff like that makes you start thinking. I hate that he had to even come out and, dignify that, the story you just gave. Well, of course he had to. His father said it was blood all over him, and it wasn't blood all over him. He said that he called his dad, but he was already on the phone with somebody. When you call somebody, you look at your phone and you click call. He just picked it up and put it to his ear. Neither here nor there. Either way it goes, guys, like I said before, pray for the Lord to bring out light. Pray for the Lord to bring light. However that may look, even if it's this, with CEO's situation. That's why I said if she feels like she's being led by God, then allow the Lord to use her. But if not, think about your fam, think about your husband, think about your kids. Either way it goes, may the Lord bring light to the situation. And I truly just pray that justice is served for Charlie. I truly pray that. He was a true brother, man. Like, I know a lot of different individuals are trying to step into his shoes and, do different things that he's done. There's not going to be another Charlie Kirk. There's not going to be another Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was one of a kind. One of a kind. There may be other people raised that the Lord raises, that may be similar, but he was him, guys. You understand? And he was a brother. May he rest in peace. Amen. May the Lord continue to expose what's hidden. Amen. Those who come into agreement, put amen in the comments. I love you guys. God bless. Shalom.